Hi, my name is Bill Stewart and welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are just joining me on this channel, I want to let you know that my whole channel is targeted towards young people, probably from the ages of 16 to 30. And my whole goal and purpose of this channel is to teach those young people how to be successes in life. Now, this is lesson 3, and I'm going to be adding more lessons as time goes by, and I label all my lessons in succession. So I strongly encourage you to begin with watching lesson 1 and all the way through, and keep watching hopefully as I keep adding videos, because the importance of that is because it's really like building blocks on how to actually become a success in life. So before we get into discussing lesson 3, I want to show you a little experiment. Right here we have a set of weights, and if you notice, the weights are equal in weight on each side. Now I'm going to try and lift these weights. Really no problem. Actually, because it's so evenly distributed, it's not that much for me to do, and I could probably hold these weights like this for quite a long period of time, no problem. Now, let's make an adjustment. I'm going to take one of these weights from this side, and I'm going to add it to this side. Now, let's see what happens. Whoa. Okay, much harder to lift initially, and because it's really taken a lot of effort on this one arm here, my right arm, I don't know how long I could hold it. Not very long. Okay. Let's continue with the experiment. Now we're going to take some more weight from this side, and we're going to add it to this side over here. Let's give it a try. Very hard. I can't. It's too hard. That was not good. So I guess the moral of this experiment is that you have to have balance. If everything's in balance, it's actually quite easy. When you get out of balance, it can turn into a disaster very quickly. Okay, we're back at the discussion table. So, what have we learned so far? Well, in lesson 1, we learned that there are 4 key steps to becoming a success. The first step is focus. You have to focus in on something that you want to become a success at. Now, in that lesson, I really hope that you learned that becoming a financial success doesn't make you a true overall success. It's nice to be financially successful, of course, who wouldn't want that? But it's more important to focus in on what makes you happy. And to many people, being successful in other things is more important than money. Now in lesson 2, we learned about the second step to becoming a success, and that's practice. In that lesson, we learned that once you've focused in on something, you now have to put in the hours to become successful in that area. And we also learned about the theory of 10,000 hours and the 80% theory in lesson 2. Depending on what you've chosen to focus on, it could take anywhere from maybe just a couple hundred hours to be better than 80% of the population, all the way up to 10,000 hours or more to be the best of the best, and potentially at a world-class level. Finally, in that lesson, we learned that you have to practice the correct way. Read books, take courses, watch YouTube videos, Take private lessons from the best teachers. If you practice the correct way, you will reach your goal much faster. This brings us to the third step in how to become a success. In my opinion, this third step is the absolute most important step of being a success. Step 3 in how to become a success is balance. I really feel that if your life is not in balance, you're not a true success, even if you're rich. Let me give you an example. There's a TV show called Cheaters. Now, the premise of the show is that one spouse is suspecting the other spouse of cheating on him or her. So what they do is they have the show's team of private investigators secretly follow and video record the suspected spouse. They compile indisputable evidence that the spouse is indeed cheating. And then, with the spouse who was cheated on, they confront the cheater on live television. Now, in about half of the episodes, the man is suspecting the wife of cheating. When the evidence proves it and they confront the cheating wife, she often yells at the husband, saying, "You're never home. You're always working. We never have any fun anymore." The husband then typically yells back at her, "I'm working all the time so I can put a nice roof over our heads and buy us the nice things in life." The wife will then reply, "That's not important to me. I need to feel loved and closeness with someone." This is a prime example of someone out of balance. The husband has chosen to focus entirely on work and forget about paying attention to the rest of the important things in his life. This is a common theme on the show, and that's because it's a very common thing that happens in real life. Now, it's wrong that the wife goes and sleeps with another guy. Yeah, sure would have been nice to maybe give marriage counseling a try, but who knows, maybe she suggested that and the husband is so focused on his work and acquiring possessions that he's oblivious to the problems that are surfacing in his life, and he doesn't feel that counseling is necessary. In retrospect, I think that I have a good plan to keep your family life in balance. Here it is. When I'm a single person, it's my time. When I get married, it's our time. And when we have kids, it's their time. Here's how it works. If you're single and you want to play 12 hours a day of video games with your buddies, go for it, no problem. If you want to log in the 10,000 hours needed to become tops or world class in any field, even better. That's a great time to do it. And if you want to date lots of people, when you're single is the time to do that. But if you choose to get married, you now have to allocate a certain percentage of your time in a day to keep the relationship fresh and flourishing. Try playing 12 hours a day of video games with your buddies on a regular basis. Guess what? You'll soon be single again. If you're trying to become extremely successful at something and want to log in the 10,000 hours while you're married, you're probably going to have a very understanding spouse who knows that, hey, maybe it's just set for a set amount of time, or you're going to have to stretch out those 10,000 hours so you're still spending the necessary time to keep your marriage healthy. You can still get to the top of your field, but it's going to take longer. And while you're married, if you try dating other people, well, that's just plain wrong. Don't do that. Now, if you choose to have children, you've made a very serious and wonderful commitment. For many people, procreating and raising great kids is their main goal in life. By completing that goal, in their minds, they are a true success. And guess what? I totally agree. I think wonderful parents whose main focus is to raise wonderful kids are every bit as successful as any successful person in any business or any other field. Even if they aren't rich financially, they're still successes in my eyes. It's very important for the person who is thinking of having children to realize that his or her time is now divided up even further. You've taken on a great responsibility, and you must now spend a large percentage of your time in a day to focus on making your kids be the absolute best that they can be. It is their time, and that's what it takes to be a successful parent. Don't bring a kid into this world unless you're ready for that commitment. If you're trying to plug in the 10,000 hours to learn how to be tops or even world class in a certain field, realize that It may be delayed substantially or may never happen. And that's okay because you've chosen to be a successful parent and you need to practice the 10,000 hours in that arena now. Now, when I say it's their time, I don't mean that your whole life revolves around them. Part of being a successful parent is showing your kids how to be successful parents. That includes showing them how to balance time with them, along with time for yourself and time with your spouse as well. Even though it's their time, it's very important to still have your own me time and also quality time with your spouse to keep that relationship flourishing. As a successful parent, it is crucial to commit the necessary hours to family time. Eat dinner together as a family, go on a family picnic, go to the beach together, whatever. Spend the required time every day, that's right, every day, making your spouse and kids feel like they're the most important things in your life. It's like your spouse and kids are a garden, and you must water and nourish it every day to make the garden flourish. If you stop watering and nourishing, the garden starts to die. I feel that there's a 50% or higher divorce rate in this country because people get married and have kids, yet they don't want to commit the time needed with the spouse and children. They go back to doing things they did when they were single. Or, a common thing is they start focusing on working hard to chase that financial success dream. They're out of balance and their life starts to unravel. Every parent or someone thinking about becoming a parent should listen to the song Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. It's a very poignant and moving song.
A child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away.
To be a true success, you should be paying the appropriate attention in all areas of your life that you deem to be important. If you're married with kids, you need to pay attention to your spouse and your kids, or the relationship will suffer and you increase the odds of losing them. If you focus too much on your wife and kids and start not going into work, your job will suffer and you may even lose your job. If you make a good wage at your job, but you're always spending all of your money buying expensive toys, you will not be in balance financially and you increase your odds of going bankrupt. And worst case scenario, if you're working all the time at a very, very stressful job and never do any fun activities outside of work, you increase your odds of getting sick with perhaps like an ulcer or cancer. You have to have balance. There's an old saying, if you lose money, that's a bad thing. If you lose a friend, that's a worse thing. If you lose your health, that's everything. Losing money, a friend, a spouse, or even your health is often the result of being out of balance. If you don't have balance in your life, you're not a true success. Now, here's another way you can get out of balance. While laser focusing on one thing can put you out of balance for regular life, another way to get out of balance is by focusing on too many things. What happens then is you get spread too thin and things go awry. As an example, if you work 8 hours a day at a job, have a wife and 2 or 3 kids, play tennis or some other activity that you like a couple times a week, take the family out to dinner once a week, play with your kids every day after school, play with your family on the weekends, and say you live in a nice and safe home, doesn't have to be a mansion, got a modest car. That's an example of probably someone in balance. However, if you have 6 kids and have to work 8 hours a day at your first job and then go to work 4 hours at a day at a second job to pay for all the extra expenses for the bigger house that you needed for your huge family, and then you're too tired to play with the kids or do anything fun with your wife, you're out of balance. Things will start to go awry. First of all, as your kids get older and you're working 2 jobs, there's no way that you can focus enough attention on all of the 6 kids. It's guaranteed that some of those kids will feel neglected. The kids will start to misbehave, get in trouble. Worse, maybe perhaps they'll get involved with drugs or gangs. And if there's no extra money and you're not able to do any fun things in life, you're going to be under a lot of stress. Extra stress can lead to relationship problems with your spouse or even serious health issues. Be sure to have balance in your life. You know, if just being financially successful was the true measure of an overall success, there wouldn't be all these wealthy movie or TV stars, rock stars, or professional athletes checking themselves into rehab. They may have all the money they'll ever need in life, but they're out of balance and they're in pain, either physical or emotional. Many of them turn to drinking or drugs to ease that pain. Some, unfortunately, even turn violent and beat up their spouses. I bet that most of these wealthy people would gladly give up some of their wealth to have the balance in their lives that brings true happiness. I'm actually a retired real estate broker. I retired 5 years ago when I was 58 years old. I sold real estate for 30 years. Now, selling real estate, that's a business where if you were physically able to, you could work 24 hours a day. There's always something you could be doing. Paychecks can be huge, and those large paychecks can become intoxicating. But there are many, many real estate agents who have fallen victim to divorce because of them only focusing on their business and not their personal lives. I remember a great piece of advice that this other successful real estate broker told me many, many years ago. His name was Tim, and he told me, hey, real estate is what I do, it's not who I am. In other words, Tim had found balance. He devoted just the right amount of time in his business to allow him to live a fun life. He was a triathlete. He traveled worldwide. He worked hard, but when he played, he also played hard because he recognized the importance of living the good life along the way. Another one of my mentors when I was learning real estate told me early in my career to focus on making life memories with my family. He said that, you know what? When I'm 75 years old, I'm not going to be looking back at my life and remembering those extra deals, those extra real estate deals that I closed that one year. No, of course not. I'll be maybe remembering doing a night manta ray dive with my wife and kids in Hawaii. I'll be remembering my family having a nice Italian dinner with lots of wine in a restaurant right next to the Pantheon in Rome. Or I might be remembering a family picnic at a local park on a warm summer day. To make this balance thing of utmost importance, I need to tell you about the Ajiri family. They are a wonderful family who I've sold numerous homes to over the years. Sophie and Sean are Iranian Americans and are wonderful parents of two darling daughters, Sarah and Seville. It's easy to tell that they all love each other immensely. You can just see it in their eyes. If one of the daughters was going up to bed, they'd come over and kiss Sophie and Sean and say, "Good night, Mama. Good night, Papa. I love you." And this is when, like, Sarah and Seville were teenagers. One time, Sean and Sophie invited my wife and I to their home for a delicious, authentic Iranian meal. The food was awesome. It was so good. I was talking with Sean, and he was telling me how they were originally from this small little town outside of Tehran in Iran. He went on to tell me that when they lived there, the typical work week was 2 or 3 days or about 20 hours per week. I was shocked, and I asked him, wow, what do you do for the rest of the week? And he looked at me, and he was like puzzled by my question. And he answered, well, spend time with family, of course. Boy, did that ever bring it home to me. Over here in America, we're so caught up in material possessions and keeping up with the Joneses that we lose sight of the most important thing in our life. That's family. Listening and following suggestions from successful people who had balance in their lives has helped me recognize its importance. And I've worked hard my entire adult life to stay in balance. Well, that's all I have to say about step 3, balance. I'll be discussing step 4, the final step in how to become a success, in my next video. After that, I'll be discussing how to become a financial success in future videos. I'll be teaching you how to become a millionaire or even a multimillionaire, because I know that's what most people want, even though, as I've mentioned so many times in my first videos, that's not a measure of a true overall success. So, thanks for watching, and oh yeah, I was wondering if you could do me a favor. Could you please help me out and please subscribe to my channel, like my video, and comment below? I'd really appreciate it. By the way, what I just did there is a very effective closing technique. It's called the Can You Help Me Close? I'll be teaching closing techniques in future videos too. Thanks again. Mr. Bill, be careful. You shouldn't be near those weights. They're way out of balance. And when things are out of balance, people can get hurt. Oh no, I'm sure I'll be fine.